Hey, what is going on guys, my name is Stormed here, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the OP1 AKV2 by Endgame gear. Now before I do actually carry on, I do want to give a quick shout out to Viscos for actually recommending me to buy this mouse over the V1, so I really appreciate it for that. But anyways, in today's review I'm going to be talking about some aspects about this mouse that everyone wants to hear, and then at the end of the video going to be giving you guys my overall opinions and also if it's a big step up from the V1. So if you guys do end up enjoying this review, make sure you guys like and subscribe as support out the channel, and let's get right into it. Starting off with these switches, and they are the Kale GX switches developed by themselves, and they did a really good job at doing so, and I cannot emphasize that enough. For starters, the main goal was to make it as fast as possible for competitive use, and they managed to do that by having the lowest click latency on a mouse in the world at just 0.7 microseconds. You could even reduce that by a little bit by going onto the software and putting both of the switches into GX speed mode, which reduces it by 1.4 milliseconds. But not only that, but they make sure that the fast latency could be used with any polling rate, whether you're using 1000 Hz or 8000 Hz, and this ensures that you do not miss a click. For how these switches sound, they describe it as a crisp, defined click sensation where they're not wrong, and I'll even do a quick sound test of them. Next up is the shape of the mouse, and it is really comfortable to use. Since the sides of the mouse are flat, it allows for unlimited flexibility for finger placement when using it for hours. It caters to those that have larger hands, which makes this mouse more accessible to use, and you can change your grip style without having to worry where to place your fingers. Alongside this, the mouse weighs 50 grams, which is quite light for a full show gaming mouse without compromising anything. And with these two factors together, it's one of the many things that makes this mouse a worthy pick. Now onto some things that I like about this mouse that no one really talks about when reviewing the OP1, and there are three things: the cable, hot swappable switches, and the software. Now the cable is the main thing that everyone talks about when reviewing the OP1, as it's a wired mouse when most mice are wireless. The cable is good as it removes the latency, as if you're using a wireless mouse, you don't have to worry about charging the mouse, and the mouse is at its peak performance every second. Not only that, but the cable is raised slightly to make sure that there's no cable drag on the desk, and pairing it with a bungee makes the mouse feel wireless. Alternatively, there are some substitutes that you can do, such as the viscose cable mode, where you strip the cable to where all the wires are exposed and makes it feel much more lighter, but this is risky and you should have a backup cable in case anything goes wrong. Or you could buy a custom cable from PMM, which is just a skinnier version of the cable that comes with the OP1, but it's just essentially like the viscose mod, or you just buy a wireless version of the OP1. Next up on the list is hot swappable switches, and this is really good for people that have preferences when it comes to the sound or feel of the switches. Now Endgame Gear actually sells their own switches specified to what most people prefer, and essentially by making them hot swap, it makes it seem easy to do so, and it allows users to modify their mouse. In the description of the switches, it guides you on how to do it, and through reading it, it seems like a simple process which could take up to 5 minutes, and you don't have to go to extreme lengths to make it work. Honestly, this is a really good feature that more companies should implement, since people can experiment on which switch they feel most comfortable with, and it brings a whole new experience. Now the last thing I do want to talk about is the software, and there's a setting in there which I think makes it a good option, and that is the left-handed mode. What this does is that it switches the left click to be on the right click and the right click to be on the left click. Now although it seems something small and I don't use it since I'm right-handed, but it's a thought of how people that are left-handed can use the mouse, and it shows about how Endgame Gear cares about the experience for the user, which seems nice. And this is the first time I'm seeing something like this on the gaming mouse, but more specifically by a company. And the software is one of the most generic ones that I've ever used, which is quite different from the keyboard software, but it just gives you all the settings that are needed, and you can even change the binds that are on the mouse. Now that I've reached the end of the video, which I appreciate for anyone that's watched all the way to the end, but in my personal opinion, this is the gaming mouse that you should consider switching or buying to. This mouse gives you that competitive edge that I mentioned earlier in the video, and it's built for competitive games if you're into that. But not only that, but this mouse is my endgame mouse, and I don't think I'll be switching or upgrading to a different mouse anytime soon. However, as for the difference between the V1 and V2, the only difference is the scroll wheel. I think it's a better encoder, if I'm correct about that, but that's about it. If you do have the V1, however, and watching this video to consider switching, I'd recommend not switching to the V2, as you wouldn't really notice the difference and it would just be a waste of money. I'd say only switch to the V2 if your mouse breaks. That's like the only option that I'd say. But for those that don't have the V1 or V2 and considering to switch, I'd heavily recommend switching to this mouse and also watching other reviews. That will be in the description down below. But that's going to be the end of this review. If you guys did enjoy this, then I'm grateful that you did. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.